Dr. Sam Owens. Before Hawkins, Sam Owens was already dealing with classified disasters and government secrets. He wasn't some small-town doctor who stumbled into the Upside Down. He was placed there because he knew how to manage crises that couldn't be made public. When Brenner disappeared, Owens was sent in to stabilize a lab that had already destroyed families and experimented on children. And from the moment he arrives, you can tell he understands exactly how ugly the situation is. What makes Owens stand out is that he doesn't pretend any of this is normal. He doesn't hide behind cold professionalism or pretend the damage is acceptable. When Will is possessed, Owens doesn't treat him like a specimen or lock Joyce out of the room. He brings her in, explains what's happening, and actually listens. That alone separates him from Brenner, because Owens still sees people, not just problems to be managed. His relationship with Hopper is tense but honest. Hopper threatens him, challenges him, and pushes him to prove he isn't another Brenner, and Owens responds with actions, not words. He keeps Eleven hidden. He provides legal papers so she can have a real identity. He risks his own position so a child can live a normal life. That's not protocol, that's choice. By season 4, Owens isn't just cleaning up messes anymore. He's actively standing in front of danger. He warns Eleven, shelters her, and when the military storms the facility, he doesn't step aside. He knows what will happen, and he stays anyway. Owens is quiet courage. No speeches, no glory, just doing the right thing when it costs him everything. Bob Newby. Bob Newby lived a simple life in Hawkins. He worked at Radio Shack, knew the town, and kept his world small and predictable. Before Joyce, his biggest problems were broken electronics and awkward social moments. He wasn't looking for excitement, and he definitely wasn't prepared for monsters. When he enters Joyce's life, everything softens. He brings patience where there was chaos, warmth where there was fear. He treats Will gently, never pushing, never forcing himself into their trauma. Bob doesn't try to fix what he doesn't understand. He just stays. And for the first time in a long time, Joyce feels safe. When the lab is overrun, Bob is visibly terrified. His hands shake, his breathing changes, but he still moves forward. He still helps. He still runs through those halls because people need him. He saves everyone and finally reaches the door. And then, he's gone. Bob's death is devastating because he didn't belong in this world. He was light in a place filled with darkness, and Stranger Things takes him away to remind us that being good does not make you safe. Billy Hargrove. Billy grew up in a house where anger ruled everything. His father controlled through fear, and his mother leaving left a wound that never healed. Love was unstable, safety was temporary, and weakness was punished. By the time Billy reaches his teenage years, he's already built walls that no one can get through. When he comes to Hawkins, he arrives like a storm, aggressive, violent, reckless, and cruel. He bullies Steve, controls Max, and intimidates everyone around him. On the surface, he's just a monster, but underneath that rage is a boy who never learned how to be gentle, because no one was gentle with him. Billy turns pain into power. He turns fear into dominance. Every fight is protection. Every threat is armor. The Mind Flayer doesn't break Billy. It recognizes him. It sees the anger, the isolation, the cracks, and it uses them. But in the end, something breaks through. When 11 shows him memories of his mother, the beach, the warmth, the version of himself before everything went wrong, Billy finally remembers who he was. He steps in front of 11, faces the monster, and for the first time in his life, he protects instead of destroys. Billy dies not as a villain, but as a boy who finally chose differently.
Murray Bauman. Murray has spent his life on the outside of society. He doesn't trust governments, systems, or authority, and years of digging into conspiracies have only made him more isolated. Most people dismiss him as crazy, but Murray has learned not to care what people think. He's blunt, socially awkward, and completely unfiltered. He drinks too much, talks too much, and says the things other people are too polite to admit. But beneath all of that is a sharp, observant mind that reads people instantly. He sees lies, he notices tension, he understands when something doesn't add up. Murray is one of the first people to fully believe Joyce and Hopper, and once he does, he commits without hesitation. He isn't fearless, he panics, complains, and freaks out constantly, but he still shows up. He still risks his life. He still steps into danger even while yelling about how stupid it is. Murray proves that courage doesn't have to look cool to be real. Alexei. Alexei is not a fighter, and he was never meant to be. He's a scientist, a technician, a man who fixes machines and follows instructions. He isn't cruel and he isn't ambitious. He's just doing his job in a system that doesn't give him choices. When he's captured, he's terrified and completely lost. But once he starts communicating, you see his true nature. He's gentle, curious, and almost childlike. He smiles easily, laughs freely, and reacts to simple pleasures like Slurpees in cartoons with genuine excitement, as if he's never been allowed to enjoy anything before. At the fair, Alexei finally looks alive. He celebrates, relaxes, and for a brief moment, he's just a man enjoying life. And then he's shot. His death hurts because it's meaningless. He wasn't a threat, he wasn't evil, he was just human. Dmitri Enzo Antonov. Enzo lives in a world built on obedience, punishment, and survival. Kindness is dangerous, trust is weakness, and mistakes can get you killed. That's the system he exists in, and he understands it perfectly. But Enzo still chooses decency. He feeds Hopper, helps him, passes messages, and breaks rules knowing full well what the consequences could be. He doesn't announce his bravery, he hides it. Every small act of kindness is a risk, and he takes them anyway. When Enzo fights the Demogorgon, it isn't about heroism or glory. It's about refusing to be nothing. It's about choosing to die as a man instead of living as a prisoner. In a place designed to strip people of humanity, Enzo protects his.
Eddie Munson. Eddie grew up with almost nothing. His father disappeared, his uncle raised him, and the town quickly decided what kind of person he was going to be. Poor, loud, different, and therefore unwanted. School labeled him a problem, and people treated him like a joke. So Eddie leaned into it. He embraced being an outsider. He turned himself into a spectacle, because if people were going to stare, he wanted control over how they looked at him. Underneath all that confidence, though, was fear. Fear of being weak, fear of being useless, fear of running when things mattered. When Chrissy buys in his trailer, Eddie doesn't just lose a girl, he loses his safety. The town turns on him, and suddenly he's the monster. He runs because he's always been told that's who he is. But in the end, he stops. He stands, he fights, he sacrifices himself. Eddie dies proving to himself that he was never a coward. Chrissy Cunningham. Chrissy lives in a house where perfection is demanded and mistakes are punished. Her mother controls her appearance, her behavior, and even her body. Nothing is ever good enough, and love always feels conditional. At school, she's the golden girl, beautiful, popular, smiling. But at home, she's shrinking. The pressure eats at her. She starts hearing voices, seeing things, losing herself. She's starving, breaking, and drowning silently. No one notices because she hides it too well. When she goes to Eddie, it isn't about drugs. It's about relief. It's about someone finally seeing her without expectations. Eddie listens. He doesn't judge. He's gentle with her in a way no one else ever has been. And for a moment, she feels safe. Then Vecna takes her. Chrissy's death hurts because she was just starting to reach for help, just starting to breathe.